Alright YouTube, so before we actually get into it, I do want to say that during this gameplay, the frames are going to drop quite a bit, a lot more than my Social Blade numbers recently. The gameplay is also kind of trash. Your boy hasn't played Fallout 3 actually in like a year or more now, so the controls are kind of confusing. Maybe just like Fallout 4 controls and shit. I'm just trying to cover my ass so I don't get roasted too hard in the damn comments. I don't know why. The frames usually don't drop. They never really have throughout all the times I've ever played Fallout 3, but in this one instance, it sure as fuck did. So earlier today, of course, Bethesda teased what looks to be another Fallout game. They dropped this Please Stand By image that they like tease before Fallout 4, and it's like the loading screen for Fallout 3, New Vegas, and Fallout 4. So I talked about this a little bit in like the initial video where I was like, holy shit, you know, they're teasing what looks to be the next Fallout game. But I kind of want to go a little more in depth and kind of what I've heard throughout the, you know, most of today, what other people are talking about. Okay, so let's just hop right into it. The main three things that I've heard today about what this is potentially teasing is either a Fallout 3 remaster, which is part of why I chose this gameplay, a Fallout 4 like port to the Nintendo Switch, and then of course a like some sort of branch off Fallout title. Like the main one that I've heard, of course, is Fallout New York. Now we've had this Fallout 3 remaster rumor for a while now. Don't know if I ever did an actual video about that specifically. I might have mentioned it in a video, and I've of course made videos in the past where I've discussed like how Bethesda should remaster like Fallout 3, New Vegas, Oblivion, and Morrowind. But again, I don't know if I ever made a video specifically about this rumor. Now, a remaster of Fallout 3, obviously with all the DLCs involved, and then of course I'd assume like mod support for the consoles and stuff like that. I'm all for that. I just don't think that that's what this is, because I don't think they would market this remaster this way, because this is kind of how they marketed or like hyped up for the reveal of Fallout 4 back in 2015. They kind of dropped like a little countdown timer with the Please Stand By image, and once that was finally done counting down, that's when we got the reveal for Fallout 4. So I feel like with them doing this, we don't have a countdown timer with this, obviously, but the way that they're like hyping whatever this is, I just don't think it would be a remaster, because a lot of people are expecting this to be the next Fallout game, whether it be a numbered entry or like a branch off. A lot of people don't think it's going to be a number entry just because Fallout 4 is not even 3 years old yet, but a lot of people are thinking it's going to be a mainline Fallout game, and for them to hype this shit up the way they are, and it's to only be a remaster, I don't think that's what it's going to be. As for like the Fallout 4 ports to Nintendo Switch, I don't even want to give this one that much time. They wouldn't do this. This is like what they're hyping up is some sort of big surprise. They've never officially like talked about doing some sort of like a Fallout 3 remaster, which is why that one's somewhat possible, but I just don't think that's what's going to be. And when it comes to porting like Fallout 4 to the Nintendo Switch, they've actually talked about that in the past, how they want to do that. And they don't need to do this big crazy reveal like whatever they are doing right now. Like, if you're within the community and you keep up with, like, the Bethesda news, you know that they want to put Fallout 4 on the Nintendo Switch, so they wouldn't hype up this crazy big reveal, this Please Stand By image, just to be like, hey guys, we're putting Fallout 4 on the Nintendo Switch. That would piss off a lot of fans. So that one, to me, is probably the most absurd, but I've only heard that from people who are, like, casual people who probably just play the Fallout games, not people who are actually part of the community. Now, as for Fallout New York, this one was kind of interesting and kind of caught my attention whenever people kind of explained it to me. I seen Juicehead make a video about it. I don't really watch that guy, but I seen his, like, why this big, they're teasing Fallout New York, so I, like, had to watch it. I had somebody comment on my previous video who pointed out that, I guess, like, the first colored television shit happened in New York. And obviously the previous Please Stand By images, like this one right here for Fallout 4, the countdown timer where they're teasing Fallout 4, it's been like black and white, like monochromatic gray, like this kind of like, the Fallout 3 one was like a dark green color. It's all been one solid color, but this one that whatever they're teasing from earlier today has a bunch of colors on it. And I kind of touched on this in the previous video. I was like, there's got to be something to this. And I've heard other people talk about it too, like Mr. Matty Plays, and just other people on, like, you know, social media, like, discussing, like, why is there color? There's never been color. It's always been, like, one solid color, black and white, whatever the case. And that's what was pointed out to me is, like, I guess the first colored television shit happened in New York, and that kind of makes sense. That seems like something Bethesda would do. But I've also heard, and I'm far from a lore guy when it comes to the Fallout stuff, that, like, I think New York was, like, ground zero for one of the bombs, like, so a lot of New York should be destroyed. That's just what I've heard, like, throughout the years. I don't know if that's 100% confirmed or not. I don't know. But Bethesda has been known in the past to kind of break what the previous lore was for the Fallout series, for the Fallout games, so who knows exactly. Also from that same Juicehead video, he points out that the colors from this Please Stand By teaser kind of match up with some state flags, like the Arizona state flag. It's also kind of similar to the El Paso, Texas state flag, so I don't know if those are legit or not, but I just want to throw that in there. So yeah, Fallout New York, as of right now, seems kind of the most likely, and we're going off of very little evidence here, but the first actual real-world, like, instances of color television happened in New York. And something I haven't really heard anybody talk about with this New York theory, the color television thing, is that in the IRL, when CBS was working on the color television in New York, it was like around the 1940s area, and where the Fallout history diverges from our own timeline was roughly in the 1950s to 60s, sometime after World War II. But back in our actual timeline, the color television wasn't really widely released until the 1970s, so it would make sense in the Fallout world that, around 1940s to 50s, when they're kind of working on color television, that shit got stopped right after World War II when they kind of transitioned into the Fallout timeline where they kind of were more focused on the Cold War stuff, communism, the nuclear age or whatever, and that's where they kind of got stuck in that 1950s area. So something like color television wouldn't exactly been on their priority list of things to finish. So Fallout New York being the next Fallout game somewhat adds up, I think, when you kind of look at the facts, little details here and there. But again, that's going off of very, very little information. We're going off of one picture here. As for what I personally think this is, I do 100% think it is another Fallout game. I just don't know if it'd be a Fallout 5 so soon. Fallout 4 is not even 3 years old yet. So I'm highly suspect about whether it'd be a numbered entry like a Fallout 5, but that's kind of why I'm leaning towards like the Fallout New York concept or any kind of a branch-off Fallout game. Why that to me makes a lot of sense. Since the release of Fallout 4, Bethesda's added a couple different studios to their roster, so those people could have been brought in to work on whatever this branch-off Fallout game could be. That makes a lot of sense to me. And if you have, Bethesda game studios and, these branch-off Bethesda studios helping to make a Fallout game, it could be the next numbered entry. They could have just been busting their ass for the past 3 years. Odds are looking like we're going to get a trailer or some big reveal tomorrow, which is part of why I want to get this video out today. It's going to be a late upload. I don't know exactly what time it's going to upload for you guys, but I want to get this out there before tomorrow's trailer because this video would be pointless by then. Anyways, as usual, my dudes, let me know your thoughts below. What do you think this is? Do you think it is a numbered Fallout entry? Do you think it's going to be like a side Fallout entry, like a Fallout New York, a Fallout New Orleans, or is it going to be Fallout New Vegas too? I've heard that a little bit today. Or maybe it's a brand new IP altogether. We just have to wait and see. So hopefully you guys, girls, and transgenders went on to enjoy the video, and if you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, turn on notifications, follow me on Twitter at @the-david. Links to my social networks are in the description and in the outro. Later, guys.